Yeah, he's a talented guy. You know, he's got a great record. He's good everywhere. So we know we have to pick our spots, go back to being true to who I am as a fighter, push the pace, get to my positions, and we knew it's going to be a tough fight. So you get excited for those, and that's really what I spent the last few months was kind of changing how last year went, and a lot of drilling, and I have great coaches and great teammates, and so I know that I'm ready.
Speaking of last year, when you spoke of this performance, of your performance in the tournament last year, you often said that you were really unhappy with just how that went. Can you speak a little bit more to that and what changes you've made?
Yeah, I don't think I was competing at where I should have been and running at the level that I should have been, and it was a learning process. Obviously disappointed, but I think it made me grow as a fighter. And so we went back to the drawing board and really honed in on things, and so I'm excited to go out there and show those skills that have gotten better over the last year and things that I've changed.
You only have losses to the best of the best on your record. 2 of those come from Amasov Yaroslav, a GOAT of the sport. Are you disappointed to see him leave the promotion and for you not to be able to get that fight back?
Yeah, I think at the time, my 3 losses, I think Amasov was 22 and then 24-0, and Masayev was 18-0. So I don't do the math there. And all, world champs, both of them. So yeah, I think my record was 16-3. And I've come close and, got to be MVP for the belt and then lose to Amasov and then lose to Masayev. So I know I'm one of the best in the world, and, I've grown a lot from those fights. And yeah, I saw Amasov fought in CFFC 4 weeks ago, something like that. Looked good. And so yeah, I'm happy that he's back competing, and so we'll see what the future holds for us too.
One more question for you. For those who have been following you a long time, saw you come up under the tutelage of Brock Lesnar. Could we ever see you post-MMA career entering into WrestleMania? Yeah. Any events like that?
Brock grew up same hometown as me. Spent a lot of time with him. My 8th grade freshman year. Went up there to Alexandria when he was training for the belt. Tony Ferguson was there, so I got to spend time with Tony as a senior in high school. So I had a lot of cool memories, which really got me into the sport as a young kid. But yeah, I think Brock's he's kind of retired, doing his own thing, and I'm kind of doing my own thing. So I don't know. There's always you never say no to opportunities. But right now, this is what I'm worried about.
So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Jonathan Ralikhan, 5 Bananas. What do you feel like are some of the biggest adjustments that you might have made from going from the season format to the tournament format this year?
Yeah, I think you're not worried about points. Every time you step in there, you want to get a finish. I don't get paid to be in there longer. Nobody wants to have to be in there the whole time. But you were thinking a little bit about, okay, if I go out there and get a quick 5, a quick 6, makes life a lot easier. And so I think with this, it's win in advance. You have 3 fights to become world champ, and that's the goal, right? And it starts on Thursday night, just win in advance, And so you want to put a dominant performance. You want to have your best performance every time you step in there. But now you know exactly what it looks like and who's on the board, the bracket, and so that makes it a little easier for us.
Now, you've been training with Impa a little bit as well. How does it like having someone like that in your corner going towards the same goal?
Yeah, I think at Killcliff we have me, Jason Jackson, Beckoff, he's spent time, Impa, AJ, Linton, Adam. So there's a lot of guys that you spend every day with that are all going through the same thing as you. So it is cool. Me and Impa spent a lot of time. Me and AJ spent a lot of time. Aaron Jeffrey. So I have great training partners, great guys around me we're all chasing the same thing. A belt, and to become the best in the world.
Logan, stylistically, you and Magomed are both very dominant grapplers. How do you see this fight playing out this week?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to positions and scrambling and who can really win their position. And they're, he's good everywhere. Kind of more of a Russian style, clinches and he's good with submissions. He's a little longer than me, but I don't think he can keep the pace, right? And that's what you get ready for, is to that American wrestling style, keeping the pace, winning the scrambles, and putting 15 minutes of total effort. And I don't think guys can do that, right? And so for me, that's what I'm thinking, is I'm going to put such a hard pace on you that you don't want to be in there.
Thank you.
Logan, I got one for you. You mentioned the bracket earlier. Have you checked out the bracket? Is there a perfect fallout for you? Be like, oh, if this guy wins, this is a great matchup for me in the next round. Have you looked at it and say, this is a great fallout of the bracket for me?
No, because when you're a little kid and you go to a national tournament and you start looking, okay, if I do this, then I beat this guy, that's when mistakes happen.
Okay.
And you start looking ahead. And like we've seen in MMA so many times, it don't matter what the odds are, who, you're supposed to win. Anything can happen. It's a fight, right? And so for me, I think they put me with one of the best guys right away, and perfect. I got to be sharp from the start of the tournament, and that's what we were getting ready for. Is you fight like this is the world title fight. Each time you go up there, it's one shot, right? You don't get a second chance. So we knew that from the start. We had one of the best guys right off the bat, and we're prepared for that.
Last one for me is, you were mentioned earlier, you defeat MVP, also beat Buckley on your run of your great career so far. What was a better performance, you think, for you against both of those? Those are two of the biggest names in the sport right now in that division.
Yeah. Buckley, had a downward performance, 30-27, 30-26, 30-26, something like that. We were both young fighters, and I really dominated the wrestling, the grappling, got to my positions. The MVP, it was a title fight in his home in London, 5 rounds, and that there was few more obstacles to go through with MVP, but both of them, now look what Buckley's doing. Buckley's on a run and doing great over there, and so I don't know, I'm proud of both of them. Obviously, it was great to win the belt over there, which kind of capped off, that point of your career, and you're excited and getting towards that spot. So I don't know, I fought a lot of great guys, and so I'm just excited to add another name to that list.
Awesome, thank you.
Hey man, Dylan here with Combat Casuals. Coming from Bellator, but getting to compete in the old PFL format, do you have a preference now that you're entering back into that kind of Grand Prix style bracket system as opposed to the preseason and the playoffs?
Yeah, I think this is a lot easier for people to understand when people would ask, what does that mean? So now you can pretty much give them the bracket. It's a lot easier for fans. And I think it's 3 fights in how many ever, 5 months, something like that, 5-6 months. Before it was 4, and there was that break. It went to November. So I don't know. I think just win in advance, win 3 fights, and you're the champ, right? That seems pretty simple. Even MMA, people that aren't huge MMA fans can follow a bracket. Everyone can follow a bracket, and so I'm excited for that. I know the dates. We kind of know where we're going, and I'm excited for it.
Awesome, man. So now we did mention your wins over guys like Michael Benton Page, Joaquin Buckley. When you see those guys establishing themselves in title contention in places like the UFC, do you feel a sense of accomplishment that you have wins over such big names like that?
I mean, I've competed against the best in wrestling my whole career. Look at our gym at one point. It was, I think we had the top 8 of the 15 with Kamaru, Shavkat, Ian Garrett, Gilbert Burns, me, Jason Jackson, Vicente Luque, Becca. Like, I've known that Robbie Lawler, you know, has been my main guy, and you know, helped him. Michael Chandler, Impa, AJ, Gregory Rodriguez. If you go look from 185 to 155 at Killcliff, we have a lot of the top guys in the world, and since I've been in South Florida since 2017, those have been my training partners. So obviously, you know, maybe I don't get as much recognition as some of the bigger names. I know where I'm at, and I've known where I'm at for a long time, and I'm not really a big social media guy, so I don't really care what people think. I'm good, I have great friends, a good life, and I just love to compete. So I know where I'm at, and I've known where I've been at for a long time, and so now it's fun to get to go out there and be part of this bracket and go put 3 fights together.
Awesome, man. And now you did mention some of the big names that you get to train with out at Killcliff. Do you feel like you get an advantage going in there against your opponent when you have such a big, you know, such an awesome group of names around you that you get to train with day in and day out?
Yeah, I think it helps all of us. But you know, there's other gyms with big names too. ATT's got a lot of, you know, great guys as well, and you know, there's other big, great gyms around the world. But I think it's just that the consistency of always being with someone, you know, with a great partner who's pushing you to your absolute brink every single day. That just, it builds over time. You know, each time, each fight, you get a little better because of the partners, because of the people, because of your coaches. And that's really what we have going for us at Killcliff.
So what does capturing another world title in a new organization mean to you? And is the motivation the same as it was when you captured your Bellator title?
I think for me, it's something you can look back on and just be proud, you know, not having any regrets on your career, you know, and it's not always, it's not about winning, it's not about belts, it's not about this, it's about how you competed. That's really what matters, is the pursuit of greatness, right? That's in wrestling. That was before NIL. That was before, you know, these kids are getting paid. We did it for nothing. We weren't on there for, like, we got to be on Big Ten channel and ESPN for NCAAs, but we didn't do it for money. We didn't do it for fame. We knew we weren't going to be famous. You did it for the absolute pursuit of doing one of the hardest things in the sports, you know, is in wrestling. And we didn't, you know, we did it for a scholarship, which is obviously great, but you did it for the pursuit. And that's the same for me now, is just to look back and be proud of my career and my legacy and what I accomplished and how I competed every single time I stepped in there.
So last one for me, how do you mentally prepare to compete 3 times in such a short period of time? And is your in-gym preparation a little bit different than it would be for, say, a regular fight?
I guess you kind of, the first camp is always the same, right? Because, you know, you get one chance to go out there, and then after this, I think it's 10 weeks, and then it'll be 7 weeks for the finals. So you got to make sure your weight's on point, your body's on point, and everything is firing on all cylinders, right? Really, at the end of this, it's going to be who's the healthiest and who's the most excited to be there, to fight still. And so I think I have a lot of great people around me outside the gym too, and really smart people that we've put a plan together of this is how we have to do it. This is how we got to have our body ready to go. And yeah, I'm excited to kick this off and put these 3 fights together.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Anyone else in here? Mike, did you have a question from Zoom?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Logan, you talked a lot about so many different things today, but when you look at this, not just the format, but what's the kind of culture, the vibe around the PFL, your fight week this week? Because I think last year, a lot of fighters who were coming over from Bellator there was a lot of figuring out to do. You mentioned how the format is easier, more simple, I should say, how everything's kind of laid out clearly. So how does this fight week feel compared to last year?
You're seeing a lot of familiar faces. The schedule's the same. For us in the train to South Florida, it was easy, 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive. Yeah, I think it, a little more comfortable for me because now I really understand how fight week goes for PFL. And so, and we know exactly what it looks like as far as the bracket, weigh-ins, this, that, the other thing. People from Bellator that I used to see, so it's been great, and I'm excited to be here.
You mentioned even non-MMA fans can follow a bracket, and you mentioned, like I said, it's a little more simple when game planning for the next 5 months or 4 months for, this World Tournament. How do you think fans should come into this PFL World Tournament with optimism and excitement, not just for a new change to the PFL, but to learn about fighters and your brands as you move forward in this tournament?
Yeah, I think they get to see all the fights, each week, see the guys, who's coming up. You get to watch them on the same card, so you get to see both their styles and what that looks like for the next fight. And they're going to be active, so you get to follow them over the next 4 months, and so it's a lot of fun for a fan to see a guy being active.
Awesome, thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Alexander.
Yes. Hello, Logan. I have a question to you. Your opponent is from Dagestan. What do you know about Dagestani wrestling school? Did you learn it, and do you afraid the techniques of Dagestani wrestling?
Am I afraid of Dagestani wrestling? Is that your question?
Yes.
No. Obviously, they're very good. They're very talented. American wrestling is very good, very talented. So I'm excited to go out there and show my skills, show my pressure, show my pace, and may the best man win.